I wanted to start this off with a little quiz because I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the chat, and I know that you guys are already very, very smart and very talented. And so I want to ask a couple of questions you can answer in the chat. I want to ask a couple questions just to see where you guys lie with your current branding knowledge, and this will let you know, if you may have some areas of opportunity in this space or if you are on the right path with your branding so far. So the first question I have for you guys is, what does the term brand identity refer to? So answer number A is the company's logo, B is the look and feel of a brand, C is the target audience of a brand, and D is the products that a company sells. I'll give you guys a few answers. Okay, I see we have a couple of answers in the chat.
It's the 10th
C, B, okay. B, okay.
largest audience of a brand.
Awesome. All right. B is the correct answer. The overall look and feel of your brand is your brand identity. This encompasses all visual elements, so messaging, emotion, so many things that we're going to cover today. A lot of people feel like your brand stops at your logo, and while your logo is very important, and we'll touch on that today, it is just a very, very small aspect of your brand. All right. So the next question I have for you guys is, what color is often associated with trust and reliability in branding? A is red, B is blue, C is green, and D is yellow. Okay. Awesome. Got some answers rolling in. Okay, I see red, I see C, I see D. Okay, we got a little mix up with this one. I'll give you guys a few more seconds to answer. C, B, beautiful. So the answer for this one is actually B again. This is blue. Blue is commonly used to convey a sense of trustworthiness and professionalism, which is why you will see blue a lot in grocery stores, banks, lawyers' offices, dental offices. A lot of professional services tend to default to the color blue because of this. Now, there is a little bit of nuance to this because there are other colors as well that have similar meanings. So I've also heard of green being used to establish professionalism as well, just a little bit of a different sense. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through the presentation. So moving on to the next question. Number three is, why is consistency important in branding? A is it saves money on marketing. B is it keeps your competitors away. C is it helps build brand recognition and trust. And D is it ensures a brand never evolves. Okay. C, C. Okay. Yes, you guys are on the money. As you guys can see, I like C's and B's. The answer for this one is C. So it helps to build brand recognition and trust and consistency across all of your touch points, which your touch points include your website, your social media platforms, your printed materials, billboards, etc. It really helps to reinforce your brand identity in the minds of your customers. All right, one last question. What is a target audience in your branding? Is it the employees of a company? Is it your most loyal customers? Is it the group of people that a brand aims to reach and serve? Or is it the investors in a company? Awesome. Okay, we're getting some more answers. You guys are spot on. Look at you guys. Y'all are branding experts. The answer is C. So it is the group of people that a brand aims to reach and serve. So understanding your target audience really helps you to tailor your branding efforts so it resonates with your specific consumers. All right. Beautiful, guys. Let's go ahead and get into our first topic on the syllabus, and that is defining your brand identity. As I've said before, your online presence is just an extension of your offline presence. So we want to make sure that that brand identity is nice and solid. That's going to save you a lot of time and guesswork that people spend in the beginning of their social media journey trying to figure out how to actually connect with their audience. So, firstly, why is it important to have a brand identity? Branding creates three things that your customers need to make a purchase. This also applies if you are a business to business company or corporation. anyone that you are servicing or providing some type of solutions for need to know these three things in order for them to move forward with you and feel confident in their decision making. So the thing that these people need are know, trust, and like. So they must know who your business is, they must like your business in some way, and they must trust you before they're willing to swipe that credit card or input that PayPal information. So let's talk about brand recognition and what that actually means. Brand recognition is the ability for your audience to identify your brand based on your visuals or messaging alone. So if you have a strong brand identity, a consumer should be able to pick your brand up in a lineup without even seeing the name of your company. So this is not just about the logos, as we said before. This is about the feeling and ideas that people associate with your brand when they see you out and about. So let's start off and see if you guys recognize some of these popular brands. Does anybody recognize this brand? Let's put it in the chat. So here we have a submark, which is a variation of a logo. We have some brand imagery, and we have a color palette. Does anybody recognize this brand? Beautiful. Okay, we have some beauty insiders in the chat. I know that's right. This is Sephora. Great job. And as you see, you're able to recognize Sephora with minimal visuals, just from their color palette and from their submark. All right, the next one. Does anybody recognize this brand? Yes. Great job, everyone. Yes, this is Disney. So we see we have the famous submark of Mickey Mouse, and we also have some brand imagery. So both of these you've been able to recognize without seeing the name, which shows you how strong their brand identity is. Okay, this one is going to be a little bit more challenging. I'm just going to show you a color palette and some words to show you how messaging plays a role in this as well. Does anybody recognize this brand? You guys are on the money. Perfect. This is Walmart. As you see, you are able to recognize Walmart by just these two distinct colors and some few taglines that they use repetitively. I really wanted to include this example to show you guys that it's not just about the visuals, the messaging and the text matters as well. And the consistency in which you use that messaging and text definitely matters. I also wanted to include this because if you guys are in the marketing space at all, you may know that Walmart just recently updated their logo. And it's a big debate on LinkedIn because it is a very, very subtle change. But this very subtle change still allows them to tap into the target audience that they are already have. Some of the changes that they use just included brightening their color palette very, very slightly and rounding the edges of their logo for a more contemporary look, but people will always be able to recognize Walmart just by these simple colors and words alone. So great job. The next reason that your brand identity is very important is because of connection. People tend to trust what they know. So when your audience consistently sees your brand and they become familiar with it, leading with trust and loyalty, your customers will continue to come back over and over again. Their brand recognition helps to foster the confidence in this connection and the confidence in your product or your service. So let's talk about some different elements of connections. People buy from brands that they trust and that they relate to. So when you are making your decisions, when you are, walking down the grocery store, you are going to gravitate to brands that you have trust in, that you know of, and that actually appeal to you. There could be three different brands of cereal and they all could be the exact same price. What you are going to lean into when making that purchasing decision is how those visuals connect to you, how they speak to you. If you are someone that's more of an outdoorsy person, you will probably lean more towards cereal that, talks about action and breakfast being the most important of the day and inspiring an energetic energy. Versus if you are someone that is really big into luxury and minimalism, you will probably go for the cereal that has the minimalistic branding, that just gets straight to the point and it's all about the facts. So we all as individuals have very different indicators of what relates to us and what we feel connected to. So you have to understand what your target audience relates to and what they feel connected to in order to position yourself properly to be their choice. Connection also includes the emotional connection. So it goes beyond your actual products and services. Your brand should speak to your audience emotion and resonate with their beliefs. So something about Social Butterfly that sets us apart from other marketing and branding agencies is that I rely heavily on psychology when I make certain decisions for my clientele. This is because, as I've said, people don't make decisions just with their wallet or just with their eyes. They make those decisions with their emotions and with their heart. There was a reason why the brand Tom's, which was a sustainable shoe company back in 2010 through 2000. I mean, I know they still sell shoes, but they had a really popular wave then. And that's because societally, the culture was very much around sustainability, very much around charity and volunteering. And so people really connected to the fact that every time they bought a pair of Toms was donated to someone in need. So creating those type of incentives and values in your brand, it doesn't always mean giving something away, but there are ways that you can implement that emotional connection in your brand that goes outside of your products and services. And the final thing about connection is your authenticity. Authenticity is essential when you are trying to express your values through your content because it strengthens the connection between your brand and your audience. Again, trust is the number one thing that you need in order to build a successful brand because ultimately, if people don't trust you, they won't buy from you. And people want to buy and trust from people that they believe to be authentic. So whether it's sustainability, ethical practices, or just your innovation, if your values align with your audience, they're more likely to purchase from you. So the third reason why having a definitive brand identity is important is because this is going to be your foundation to scaling. So if you want to scale your business, if you want to have a franchise of your business, if you want to add more employees to your business, having a solid brand identity is going to be your foundation for that. Before you can scale your business is crucial because defining your brand's missions, values, and identity are the core elements that must be in place to keep your brand cohesive. If you are onboarding new employees or you're training someone else to do the things that you do in your brand, I know a lot of us entrepreneurs, we tend to do everything. But that's not the place that you always want to be in. Eventually, you want to be able to pass things off to other departments or other people that you trust with your brand. If you have a definitive brand identity, that's going to make that process so much more seamless because they will constantly have something to refer to instead of just going based off of their own personal preferences and biases. Because again, we all naturally have them. So your brand shouldn't shift just because there's a different person in charge of your branding and marketing strategies. Alrighty, so those are the reasons why it is important to have a brand identity. We're going to go ahead and get into the next area of expertise, and that is crafting a consistent message across your platforms. So let's talk about the basics of branding. We covered this a little bit, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with a few of the different elements that make up a definitive brand identity. So the first element of this is your visual identity. This is obviously what you see. So your logo and your typography. A lot of these things get overlooked, but the type of font that you use in your images, in your logo, all of them matter because they all have a psychological connotation. Here you'll see a logo that I created for one of my clients, and the reasons that I chose particular elements are all highlighted so that they know exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Think about this when you are creating graphics for your business, when you are sharing videos for your business. All of those things very much matter. You don't want to just be like throwing different things together. You want everything to align so that people know your business when they see it. The next element of your visual identity is your color palette. So I also created this website for one of my clients. And with this color palette, you can also see there's different textures, which we'll touch on that in just a second as well. But this palette is very specific to this brand's intention. So this brand wanted to create a sense of sophistication and a sense of elegance. So this color palette reflects that. It reflects the confidence that and the sophistication that they were looking for, while also while also maintaining a classic and refined image. Deep browns, beige, and new color palettes are ideal for a beauty brand such as this because it conveys that luxurious and timeless aesthetic. Here we have a color wheel. So I wanted to pull out a few popular colors so you guys can see this in action. Color psychology plays a large role in branding because colors can invoke specific emotions and associations that influence your consumer behavior. This is a breakdown of red, blue, green, and purple. So as you can see, red is all about energy, excitement, passion. When I think of brands that use red, I think of um, Lindt or Lindor chocolate. But a lot of candy chocolate companies use red because it's about that excitement, that passion. Purple is with luxury, creativity, wisdom, spirituality. I see a lot of churches use the color purple in their marketing, in their branding. I also see a lot of high-end brands use purple in their branding. Green represents growth, health, wellness, balance. So we see a lot of health food corporations using this color. We also see a lot of brands who try to relate to the everyday person use this color because of that balancing thing. And then blue, we touched on before, trust, dependability, calmness, and professionalism. Now, outside of just your colors, there is an element too that I feel often gets overlooked, and that is your brand imagery. So, when you comes to defining a brand, you should be very clear on what your visual aesthetic is going to be when you are like trying to extend your brand online. This is because every camera, every photographer, they all have very unique characteristics and elements. And ones that are really, really good, they have a definitive way of portraying their image that is recognizable. You want your content to all flow. So if you find a photographer that you love, stick with them. If you find someone who is able to captivate and translate your messaging into an image, make sure you stick with them because you should always have something to fall back on when, again, bringing someone new into your team that they can look at and they can say, okay, I need to model my photography or videography after this. And these images go along with everything else that we've been talking about. They all invoke a certain psychological response. And so having a brand strategist or just someone who is adept in psychology and marketing to just take a look at your brand and be able to pull out different images that really resonate with what your brand stands for is going to be super beneficial when you're translating online because online is all about the visuals, you know. The messaging is important as well, but the visuals is going to be that key element, especially when you're trying to grow your business online. So let's go ahead and talk about messaging. Messaging is how you communicate with your audience. And of course, this includes the visuals, but I want to talk about the written element of it as well, because this includes your taglines, your slogans, and the language that you use in your marketing materials. So think back to when we showed the Walmart slide, those simple words, those 3 words, 2 words, those short phrases help you to identify Walmart as the company, which means that there is power in 2 or 3 words. And even more importantly, it's power in the consistency in which you use those words. So your messaging should clearly express your brand's purpose and values in a way that resonates with that audience. And again, keeping it consistent across all channels is the best method to avoid confusion. So here are 2 elements of written messaging that plays a key role in translating your voice online. So keywords. Keywords are going to be super duper important as we go through this series and we have future sessions when we really, really dive into how to grow your platforms. Keywords are going to be something that we go to over and over again because these keywords are what help make you discoverable online. So for example, if you're in the fitness industry and you own a gym, and let's say I open a gym and it's called Jay's Gym. If I open a gym and I call it Jay's Gym and I start a Facebook page or I start a website, and those are the only terms that I'm using over and over again, I'm completely limiting myself because there are going to be other keywords that people search up when they're trying to find a brand like mine. Some of those keywords might include words like wellness, exercise, nutrition. And there are tons of ways that you can implement these keywords into your online presence and platforms to make you more discoverable and to help people find you. One of those ways, just for a little insight and value right off the top, is in your website. So search engine optimization is a great way to boost your website sales. And to make this very, very simple, the words that you use on your website helps Google to find and rank you in the Google search engine. So if you are consistently using keywords that are relevant to your brand and that expand a little bit too, you're going to be more likely to be found. And so if you are a hyper local business, and you only service a specific area, those are keywords that you want to put in your website, because when people are searching for a Martinsville gym, it doesn't matter if my gym is in Martinsville if I don't have any keywords on my website or in my platform that indicate that, because people are not going to find it when they do those Google searches and they do those social media searches. The next element of messaging that I want to talk on is the tone. So we all know how important tone is in a conversation face to face. There's a difference between if I get on camera and say, "Hey everyone, how are you doing?" or "Hey y'all, what's up?" They feel totally different. And so those same things apply in your captions on Instagram, your captions on Facebook, the copy on your website. This refers to the tone or voice or personality that your brand uses when they communicate with their audience. So a formal tone might be useful for professional services such as law firms or financial institutions, and a friendly conversational tone might work well for a lifestyle or a wellness brand. And you can even go as far to have like a fun or witty tone if you are a creative or entertainment based brand. It all depends on who your target audience is and who you're trying to talk to. But there has been a huge spark of global corporations leaning into their tone and really defining their tone online. One of my favorites is Wendy's. They have a Twitter account and they are constantly on Twitter making like fun, witty jokes, and it really helps them to connect to their target audience. Moving on to the next element of crafting a consistent message, let's talk about your mission. So your mission is defined by your services and your audience. So the services that you offer are a solution to a problem that your target audience has. So whether you're offering products, digital services, or a combination of all of those services, your services in and of itself are going to be the foundation of your mission and your values. And if you have clearly defined services, then you clearly define to your audience how you're going to meet their needs and why you are valuable to them. So your audience, which we've talked a lot about your audience, is the most important element of all of this, because your audience is going to be the determining factor of how you bring yourself visually, the type of keywords that you use, et cetera, et cetera. Your target audience is the group of people that you want to reach. And so in order to reach them, you have to understand their demographics, their psychographics, their pain points. All of these things are very, very important. Whenever I'm working with a client, I like to ask them, what are your target audience's dreams? What are their goals? What are their fears? And what are their frustrations? Because when you look at it through their lens, you'll be able to not only speak to the things that they want, but you'll be able to do something that's even more powerful, because more people are moved to buy based out of fear of things they don't want, which is why it's so easy to sell a home security system. It's a possibility that someone could intrude your home. And people make decisions like that all the time whenever they're buying. People buy for ease and they buy for comfort. So understanding their frustration and their fears are going to give you a lot of insight and value when it comes to like crafting your messaging and really crafting your services. Okay. So before we go into the next segment, I just want to do a little check in. How are you guys feeling? Is everybody with me? Do we have any questions at this point? Feel free to utilize them in the chat. If no questions, if you have gotten some value from this so far, just put a one in the chat if you've learned something that you did not know before this. Beautiful. Awesome. Love to hear it. All righty. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. Before we do, I just want to say this is probably my favorite packaging design that we've done at Social Butterfly. This was for a pet care company, and I just think it's so cute. Love the colors and the font. Alrighty. So let's go into creating a visually appealing social media presence. This is the reason that we're all here. We want to tap into social media. We want to tap in to our online presence. So let's talk about how you're going to translate your brand online. Translating your brand online is about taking everything we've talked about so far from your brand identity, the colors, the font, the imagery, the messaging, and reflecting that consistency across your digital platforms. So your online presence should mirror your physical brand identity so your audience still recognizes you immediately. This means using consistent colors and fonts in all of your visuals. It means using brand aligned imagery, like we talked about before, that reflects your values. And it means having cohesive messaging that communicates your brand's voice in every post, every story, and every interaction. So as you can see, this is a website design that we did for a real estate company, and everything is cohesive. Those cohesive fonts and colors are so important. The imagery reflects the values, and that messaging communicates that brand voice in all of the copy, which you can't really see the copy in this example, but all of the copy reflects everything that that brand has in their physical store as well. So, by translating your offline identity to your online present, you ensure that every piece of content you share looks intentional, professional, and aligned with your overall vision. So, I want to talk a little bit about the elements of why online is important. I know that there are some entrepreneurs who, they see that the world is going more digital and there's a little bit of resistance to that. But I want to showcase a couple of brands to you so you can see the different opportunities that social media has. But also, more importantly, I want you guys to see that every brand does not use social media in a different way. So you don't necessarily have to have an Instagram, a Facebook, a YouTube, a TikTok, RP to TikTok. You don't have to have all of these different platforms in order to have a successful brand online. You can really tailor your strategy to just a few platforms or even a different methodology in general. So let me show you guys a few different brands and let me know if you guys have seen these brands online. So Amazon, what Amazon does, Amazon really focuses on digital ads. So if you have ever scrolled on Amazon and you've added something to your wish list, it's a high possibility that when you are scrolling Facebook later or you're on Google later, you're getting ads from Amazon based off of the things that you search. Amazon does have a plethora of different platforms. They also have a big budget so that they can have a plethora of different marketing specialists to run those platforms. But if Amazon only leaned into digital advertisement, they would have a solid strategy as a startup business. This means that you don't necessarily have to be on these platforms. You can just pay for product placement on these different platforms. And again, knowing your audience and all of the things we talked about before are super critical to this because based on your business, you may have a demographic that is in a certain age range where they might not be on TikTok, but they're on Facebook, or they might not be on Facebook, but they're on Instagram, or they're on Pinterest, or even more so, they might be the type of audience where they don't even like social media in general, which means you have an opportunity to double down on your website, creating blog posts, email marketing. There's tons of different strategies. So, knowing your audience and how they purchase will allow you to create a social media strategy that feels authentic to you. Fashion Nova is another really great example of influencer marketing. So, influencer marketing is the social media strategy of sharing your product or service with someone who already has a audience. You're not trying to build your audience from scratch. You can just send your product or service to someone else who also has the same target audience as you. That is very important. If that influencer has 1 million followers, but those 1 million followers have no interest in anything that you do, it makes no sense to send it to that influencer. Will be better off finding an influencer that has 2,000 followers, but those 2,000 followers are connected to your target audience. Those 2,000 followers actually resonate with the product and service that you sell or offer. So Fashion Nova really leaned into this. They started sending products to different influencers and doing like fashion hauls and try on videos. And this really exploded their business back in 2014, 2015. They were one of the first clothing companies that I recall really, really leaning into this strategy, and it has definitely paid off to this day. Wendy's, as I've talked about before, they're one of my favorite companies that is on TikTok. I'm sorry, on Twitter right now, and they really lean into content marketing. So, content marketing is the strategies that we are most familiar with because it's the ones that we see on a regular basis. So, I'm going to give you guys an example of content marketing. I want to give you guys a real life example. So, someone put into the chat what industry you're in, so I can give you an industry specific example, just so we can see this in real time. And I am so glad that you guys are getting some great info from this. Okay, the first one I see is hairstylist. Perfect. So for hairstylists, let's talk about content marketing for a hairstylist. You have so many different options. We're going to start with video marketing since that's the most popular. So I actually did a collaboration with a hairstylist a few months ago. And so this is how we marketed her services. So this stylist is someone who she wanted to cater to an audience that wanted a luxurious experience, but they also didn't necessarily have a budget to go to a stylist that, is going to provide all of the bells and whistles. So when she told me that this was her audience, what I did for her was I created a video, and the whole video was centered around me using some very affordable extensions. Now, she knew from the very beginning that I was going to be using affordable extensions, but the audience doesn't know that. So how I positioned the video to the audience is I have these extensions. The stylist really wants me to bring some expensive extensions, but this is all I have. So let's see what she does. So I created that story of this is what we're using, and I was the target audience in that position. So I inserted myself in the position of her target audience as I'm someone who wants a luxurious experience, but I'm on a budget. So I take these extensions to her, and the whole time she's doing my hair, I'm getting the content of her doing my hair, but I'm not telling people in the video, go get your hair done by this person. I'm not saying, this was the best service ever. It's speaking for itself in the video. I like to call this strategy soft selling because you don't always have to push your products and services. People can see it. And it feels a lot more authentic when you're not just saying, go to this hairstylist, go to this hairstylist. So, anyway, she ends up doing my hair, and in the video I revealed to her at the end that these were some affordable extensions. My hair looks great. The video went on to do over 100,000 views, and then she booked out for that style. So that's an example of how you can take content. That one was specifically about videos, but let's say you're not someone that's really heavy into videos, you can also do this with blog posts. So an example, let me go back and see what other industry we have. Okay, I see jewelry designer. So if I'm a jewelry designer and maybe my skill set lies in writing copy, I'm going to make some blog posts about jewelry. So what's some common frustrations, fears, or desires that my target audience might have? Maybe they need to know how to clean their jewelry. So I'm going to make a blog post about how to clean your jewelry. Have you guys ever looked up a recipe and you get to the website where there's a recipe and it's like this 6-page life story of somebody telling you how they're like grandma used to make this tomato sauce a certain type of way. There's all of this like prelude before they actually get into the recipe. That's because for that particular website, the recipe is the content marketing. The story is what they're trying to get you to subscribe to their newsletter. They're trying to get you to go down their funnel. So the content is not meant to say, hey, buy from me. The content is meant to showcase how you are in alignment with your audience, but also how you can be valuable to them without just outwardly, saying, this is what I do, here's what I have. So that's why it's super important to do those, ask yourself those questions about what are their frustrations, what are their fears, what are their dreams, what are their hopes? Because if you can start writing down those things and you can really break down those things, and honestly, we're in the age of information right now. So with artificial intelligence and things like that, you really can just go into one of the chat boxes and send them your website and give them a little bit of information about you and ask them, from your perspective, what is the fears, frustrations, hopes, and dreams of my target audience? And that will give you a great, great baseline for what you can start to build your content out around. All righty. So now that we have talked about that, let's talk about, this is my favorite part of this presentation, and that is your funnel. So now that you understand that your brand has to be visually consistent and appealing, it's time to think about your funnel. So, a sales funnel is the strategic process that leads your audience from discovering your brand to eventually making a purchase and engaging with your services. So, I'm going to give you guys a few different ways of how you can build your funnel. But to break this down even more, I want to give you an example. So, let's say that you are scrolling on Facebook and you come across an ad for a new makeup company, right? So when you see this ad, this is your first time ever seeing this makeup company. So there is normally going to be a little button at the bottom of that ad that says visit our website or message us for more, or there's something there. That small something there is the most critical part of your funnel because you can showcase your product and service to the world until you are blue in the face. But if they don't know what to do next, you will never be able to convert them into a lead. And so you have to assume that everybody that's coming across your social media platform is a kindergartner and they don't know that they can just go to your profile and your website is in your bio and all of those things. You have to assume that everyone who's coming across your content has never heard of you before. So set some things in place so that when they're seeing you, maybe your copy says, message us for a free consultation or leave a comment below if such and such. And then you respond to that comment with the link to your website. There has to be something to take them from that next level. And if you just rely on people on their own to make those decisions, then you're not going to be able to convert majority of those people into leads. So let's look at what this actually looks like written out. So, finding your funnel, the better your sales funnel is, the more likely you are to generate income quickly from your social media presence. So, a new person finds you or follows you on social media. That's the very top of the funnel. They now know who you are. The next thing that has to happen is you have to build some type of trust with them. So, how do you build trust with someone very fast? You can build trust with somebody by offering them some type of free or low cost incentive. We see this all the time with coaching services where someone will offer you either a free 15-minute consultation call, or they'll offer you a free PDF download, or they'll offer you some type of relevant template or a digital product. Digital products is my personal recommendation because it's very low cost and it doesn't take much to set up. You can also build your email list at the same time. But there's something there that is going to be very low risk to you as the audience member that lets you know that there's validity and validation in what that person is saying and what they have to offer. So you can do that, or it's just going to take a little bit longer if you rely just on consistently posting valuable content. So over time, they follow you, they start to see you, they just become familiar with you, and now they trust you. So you have two different options for how you want to build trust based off of how fast you want to potentially convert this person into a lead. The next thing that happens is that they purchase your product, they book your service, or they use your affiliate link, join your program, whatever it is that you're offering. Once they trust you, now we have somebody who is primed and they're ready to buy. And after they do that, you have to have some type of system in place that allows them to leave a review, engage with your content, or refer others to your products and services. So, do you have a referral system in process for your current clientele who are happy with you? Do you have some type of way for people to leave you reviews so that you can then showcase this to your audience? Because then it starts the cycle all over again. That new person follows you on social media. You build trust with them from your previous reviews, your previous referrals, and by continuing to offer valuable content. And the cycle just continues over and over and over. Alrighty. So here are the things that you need to align in order to build a great funnel. So earlier we talked about know, like, and trust, and these are the same elements that I like to use when building out my funnel. Some people refer to them as different things. Some people refer to the very top as a cold audience. Cold meaning that they don't know who you are, they don't know nothing about you. They are like very much new to what you offer, and they refer to the bottom as the hot audience. That's who's ready to buy. So you'll hear these different things. You also may hear it broken up as the awareness stage, the decision making stage, the action stage. Just know that these are all the same things if you hear these different terminologies from other marketing strategists. So that top of the funnel is going to be the audience introduction to you and your skills. So really think and brainstorm, what are some ways that I can introduce my audience to me and my skills? A lot of my audience finds me through my biggest platform, which is Lemonade. It's a variation of Pinterest and Instagram, but it's my biggest platform. And so over there, knowing that it's my biggest platform, I use that platform to push people to my other platforms. So if you already have a platform, and it may not be, gigantic in your perspective, but a lot of times we tend to minimize numbers on social media because we can't visually see them. If you have 500 followers, you may not see that as a large amount of people, but if you put 500 people in a room, you would be absolutely overwhelmed and blown away at how many people that actually is. So, if you have any amount of people already on one platform, use that to push people into the next cycle of your funnel. So, the next, we're going from no to like. The next thing is you have to have an offer that shows the value that you have and it builds the trust between you and your audience. Like I said before, I would highly recommend a digital product. If you guys need some examples or help with digital products, we can go over some of those in the Q&A session for your specific brand. And then building the trust. Once the audience trusts you, they will be more willing to make a purchase from you. Alrighty. So now that we understand the funnel, let's talk about the different platforms that we have. Now, I want to take a moment to re-emphasize that social media is not your only platform. Your website that you more than likely pay for monthly or annually is a great place to start. That SEO that we talked about, your blog posts, offering your products and services on your website, you can do a lot with your website that a lot of times goes underutilized. You can set up email marketing strategies. You can even automate emails where once someone buys that low ticket item or that free download or whatever your initial incentive is, they are automatically subscribed to an email chain that nurtures that funnel for you. So you set it up one time and then it's automatically in play. You don't have to send out individual emails. So I wanted to re-emphasize that because I think a lot of times now with the craze of social media, it's amazing. We do have access to a lot of people at our fingertips, but a lot of times we often overlook the platforms we already have. Another underutilized platform, in my personal opinion, is online marketplaces. So when I think of online marketplaces, I'm thinking about how Amazon will now allow you to sell your products on their platform. Walmart Plus, you can sell your products on Walmart.com. Etsy is my personal favorite, especially for digital products. But the reason I feel like these are underutilized and often overlooked is because with an online marketplace, Facebook Market, TikTok Shop as well, with an online marketplace, when people get on these marketplaces, they are already primed and in the mindset to buy. So if you are able to put a product or service on an online marketplace, you're taking out a lot of that base level work because you're not convincing people to spend money when they didn't intend to spend money. They are actively looking for solutions to their problems, and you can just strategically position yourself on those online marketplaces for people to utilize your products and services. And in this digital age, having some type of digital product that aligns with your business will help you tap into those marketplaces and make some passive income on the side as well. All right, so let's talk about the elements that create a great social media platform, though. So, this is the profitable profile checklist. This is one of the pages from my latest workbook. But these are just the things that I would consider to set you up to have a profitable profile. So, first things first, is your profile picture clear, high quality? It does it represent you and your brand? This is so important. So important. If nothing else, having a high quality version of your logo as your profile picture is better than having a poorly lit, indistinguishable photo as your profile picture. This is going to be your first impression. So imagine this as the job interview for somebody following you. Are you showing up as your best self in your profile picture? And even if you're not showcasing yourself, if you're showcasing your logo, is your logo high quality or is it blurry? Those two things that can be the difference between someone following you and trusting your brand and someone just moving on to someone else. The next thing is your username. So your username should be easy to remember and it should align with your brand and your personal identity. You want to avoid using unnecessary numbers or characters that may make it difficult for people to find you. This is a completely personal pet peeve, so you can take it or you can leave it. But one of my personal things that I find a lot of new and smaller businesses do is add LLC to their username. That's not necessarily helping you. And also a lot of times it can kind of hurt you because entrepreneurship is so popular nowadays, people are familiar with what an LLC is. And so a lot of times when we lead with that, unless your business name actually has LLC in it, it can kind of showcase to people that you are a fresh business or like you're just starting up. So that's not necessarily necessary in your username. Also, like I said, extra numbers, characters, if it doesn't make sense for your brand, you want to try to keep it as simple as possible. This was one of the mistakes that I made when I started my very, very first business back in 2018. I started a aromatherapy company, and me and my business partner, we started a Twitter account. And because the name that we wanted for our account was taken, we ended up making the names more complicated than they needed to be. And that hurt us when we eventually went on to do our social media marketing. The next thing is your bio. So you want to craft a compelling bio that communicates who you are, what you do, and why people should follow you. This should be very evident as soon as people click on your page. You want to make sure that you use this as an opportunity to insert some of those keywords that we were talking about earlier, and making sure they're relevant to enhance your discoverability, and also include a call to action so that you can encourage some engagement. So an example for this is let me see. Let me go back to the chat and see what other industries we have in here. Okay. I see IT. I'm gonna make a I'm gonna make an educated guess. Okay, so if we're working in IT and I am offering some type of digital solutions to someone, whatever digital solutions you're offering, that should be the very first line of your bio. So I help XYZ, I help entrepreneurs increase their SEO for discoverability. I help up and coming jewelry designers promote their jewelry brand. I help, you know, trying to think of an example for hairstylists. But I help women feel more confident in their skin. It doesn't always have to be super literal and physical, but what you do, what value you offer, what you provide should be the first line of your bio. And then you should also include why people should follow you and then that call to action. So book a call with us below, send me a message for a consultation, et cetera, et cetera. The next thing follows up with your bio, and that's your links. So you want to take advantage of that link section, so that you are directing people to your website, your blog, your latest offering, and be hyper specific with it. Maybe the home page of your website is not always the best place to lead people to directly. On my website, I have a page that is a dedicated links page. So it's literally just showing the different things that I offer from my different workbooks, my Amazon storefront, all of those different things, all in one nice cohesive list so that whatever that person is looking for, they can find that and they don't have to scour my website trying to find all those different things. It really depends on your industry and what you're trying to offer. But that's something to consider. Is my homepage the best place? Or is maybe a blog post the best page? Or maybe does it change up based off of what season of your business you're in? The next thing is your cover photo or your banner. This is specifically for LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Those platforms have cover photos, but this is an opportunity for you to really continue to showcase your brand identity. Don't just overlook these things or don't fill them out at all. That's a huge mistake. Think of your cover photo or your banner as your tagline to your logo. This is where you have an opportunity to expand and elaborate on what your business actually does. And it helps to continue to communicate who your audience is and what your value is. The last thing is your contact information. So make sure that all of your information is accurate and it's accessible. Those little details are often the things that get in the way from us making a sale. If it takes too much effort for somebody to try to find your phone number, or they look up your business and the phone number on your Google profile isn't the correct phone number, that's your old phone number, those little points of tension really deter people from continuing in the funnel, because we have created a culture in a society where we love ease. We love things to be as fast and simple as possible. So the more you can set your profile up for ease, for people to find you, for people to access you and for people to be able to get in touch with you, you're going to increase your chances of converting into a lead. All right. And so I've also put three different steps to optimize your profile because, as I said, it's important to showcase who you are, what you do, and where you should go. So, who you are includes, does your bio tell me your name, your business name, or your tagline? And again, is your profile picture high quality and relevant to your page? Is your username easy to remember and is it on brand? What you do, does your bio tell me what products or services you offer? Does your content address your target audience or specify your niche or industry? And does your bio tell me what type of content I can expect from you as to why I should follow you? And then where do I go? Does your bio include your website link or your other platforms? Does it include a call to action to your followers on where they can engage with or follow you next? And do you have a system in place that can turn your followers into paying customers? Alrighty, so that is what I have for you guys today as far as translating your brand online. This is just part one of a four-part session. In parts two, three, and four, we're going to dive more into your online presence as a whole, how you can actually grow those platforms, create a content calendar, scheduling, things of the sort. But at this point, I want to open up the floor for Q&A. So feel free to Kathy, can they unmute themselves to ask a question? Perfect. So feel
I
free
need to
to.
unmute myself to answer you. Yes. Feel free to unmute yourself. And if you don't want to speak publicly, feel free to throw your question in the chat and we'll monitor that as well.
Absolutely. All right. So, yes, don't be shy. I promise I do not bite. Okay, I see Kiara. Oh, hi, Kiara. I see Kiara has raised her hand. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hi, Jalen. For those of you who don't know, I went to middle school with Jalen, so I'm super proud of you. This was so informational. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
Just want to put it
you.
out there. That was amazing. But I do have a question. As someone who's trying to build my own personal content and also like running two businesses, what are some ways that you stay consistent with like posting and just getting out there to those audiences?
Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you, Kiara. I'm so glad that you're here. And I am also proud of you. I am seeing you do your thing, girl, and you are living it up. So, consistency. What I have found, it's a few different pieces of advice that I have. The first thing is finding a platform that aligns with you. Lemonade has been my go to platform, and I've been able to, in less than a year, grow my Lemonade from zero to 250,000. And that's strictly because it's a platform that aligns with me, which means that Lemonade, you don't have to post 2 times a week in order to be in the algorithm. You don't have to post every day. It's one of those platforms where you can post and your content is evergreen. So evergreen content means that the lifespan of the content is forever. YouTube is another example of this because you can post a YouTube video and even 10 years later, people can still find your YouTube video. Whereas Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, the lifespan of those posts are not as long. So for me, I found that trying to have so many different social media accounts, I thrive on platforms where it's not necessarily based off of how many times I post, more so the quality of which I post. And then the second piece of advice is create consistency based off of your standards. I know it's a little bit against the grain to say, you don't have to post 3 times a week on Instagram. But if you know that you can commit to once a week, it's better to show up once a week than like super sporadically because ultimately the algorithms favor familiarity. So if they can guess your patterns, they can push your content like a little bit better. So you don't have to show up every single day or 3 times. If you can only show up once a week or maybe even bi-weekly, like if that's what you have to do, that is so much better than trying to force yourself to get this content out. The next thing is what types of content are easier for you to create. If it's easier for you to make a Facebook post where you just have to type some words, and maybe you can just find a visual from Pinterest or something like that, lean into that. Like a lot of times I think we overcomplicate it for ourselves because one, it's easy to compare yourself to other creators. Like, oh my God, that reel was amazing. I want my reels to look like that. But that just may not be where you're at this present moment. And it's totally okay to learn, but it's nothing wrong with making the process easier for yourself.
Yeah,
Did
that
that
was
answer
great.
the question?
No, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you again for joining. I see a question in the chat that says, do you provide services in branding? So, yes, I am a full scale branding and marketing agency. So, we do everything from full brand identity, which means that all of the things we listed in this presentation, your visual identity, your messaging, your tone, we come together and we create a brand kit that you can then utilize with your own in house marketing team, or we can also take that over as well. And then we do social media marketing as well. Okay. I missed the
Yeah.
beginning, but what I heard was good information. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, and I see Susan saying, let's talk. This is one of the things that I love about doing workshops like this and connecting entrepreneurs with entrepreneurs is we all have needs, right, as entrepreneurs, and being able to get connected to folks that are offering a service or a good that you need is really important. And I think it's just one of the benefits of some of the things we do at SBSD because it allows for connection. And you guys showing up on workshops like this is really important, not only in gaining knowledge, but also in terms of networking and being able to establish these entrepreneur to entrepreneur connections and being able to support each other on your journey. So gosh, thanks.
Absolutely, Kathy. And thank you. I cannot thank you enough for allowing me to be present here with all of these entrepreneurs. It's such an amazing thing to just be surrounded by like minded people who are all on a goal and we all are striving to better ourselves and better our businesses. So I'm very, very happy to be here and continue to answer any questions that you guys have. We do have about 20 more minutes. So utilize this time. Like I don't mind answering detailed and specific questions about your specific company. That's what we're here for, to exchange information and value.
Yep.
So feel free.
Amani's got her hand raised. So
Oh, beautiful.
Amani, unmute yourself. And if you want to come on camera, feel free to do that.
I'm just gonna unmute myself because I look a little rough today. But but my question was well, I don't really know if it's a question or a concern about myself. So I don't have an issue recording content. It's putting it together, like sitting down. It feels like an extra job, especially with me doing hair. It's like physically demanding. My arms hurt and my legs hurt, my feet hurt. And it's like I don't feel like coming home and creating content. So I'll like fall off, or I have content in my phone from a year ago that's great, but it's like, dang, I don't want to post this and it's a year old.
Yeah. That is so real and so relatable because content is a lot. It's great to talk about and we know the benefits of it, but actually implementing it in the everyday, there's a lot of steps to it. Like you have to be a little bit of a videographer and a little bit of a photographer and a little bit of a video editor and a little bit of a copywriter. There's so many different elements to creating great content. So I definitely understand that. Here will be my suggestions. Number one, there is going to be a just like anything, or like riding a bike or learning to exercise. There's going to be a buffer period where it's not natural to you at this moment. So there's going to be some resistance. Um, Similar to the advice I gave Kiara, ask yourself, what can I do to make this easier for me? Maybe it might be easier for you to outsource it, and you don't always have to outsource to like a large company where it's going to cost you like thousands of dollars of every few months. You can also outsource on like Fiverr and people will edit your videos for like 15, $20, and it may not be like they may not go into all of the details of like the things I'm talking about and thinking about the psychology of it. But if you're able to do that element of it and say, okay, this is my brand, these are the fonts that I'm using, these are my color schemes, and then you're able to showcase to them, these are some other content creators that I want to emulate my content from, then you're able to do a lot of that, I'm going to say the legwork, that foundational work that makes your content stand out and just have them do the actual editing. So that's one option. Another option is really utilizing templates. Now this is going to be dependent on the type of content that you're trying to create, but getting someone to either create you some templates or utilizing the templates that are already in platforms like Canva, CapCut, they have pre-edited videos where you can just go in and you can insert your own content and it will do that bulk editing for you. So I'm someone that loves to utilize templates, but I'm also an advocate for outsourcing when it makes sense for you, because ultimately content is an investment. And if you're doing it correctly, it should be allowing you more disposable income in order to compensate like your marketing efforts. So that would be my suggestion there. But CapCut's templates are a great free starter thing if you're finding trouble like with video editing. Okay.
Okay, yeah. I don't use CapCut. Maybe that's the issue. I think I was using InShot, I think it's called. So there's no
Mhm.
template. So that's probably I'm probably overworking myself when I could just get on CapCut and use those templates. So thank you.
Yeah. You are so welcome. I used to use InShot as well, and I loved it because it's beginner friendly. But as far as like actual resources and different like things that I actually use, CapCut has been amazing. And so yeah, definitely check out those templates. And I think they have free templates as well that you can use. I do have the CapCut Pro subscription. It's $8 a month. But for me, it's very much well worth it. Okay. I saw Jacqueline had her hand raised. Oh, and also Shanice put
Yeah.
a great thing in here too. I didn't even see this. I'm just add this. AI editors are really helpful too. So yes, that is a thing now. There are platforms, I want to say Opus, OPUS, that's what it's called. Yeah, they are really good. And again, it's AI, it's templates, so they're not going to be the best. I'm not going to say this is going to be like groundbreaking work, but that's why there are marketing specialists. But it's going to get you started, and it's absolutely better than nothing. So definitely check out some of those AI editors as well.
Yeah, so let's go to Jacqueline, and then there's some other questions in the chat. I'll read them off to you, but I know Jacqueline raised her hand, so I guess she's a great place to go to next.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name's Jacqueline Weber, and I am a jewelry designer, handcrafted designer, but definitely high end because I focus on those of us who do have skin allergies. So my designs are curtailed to those of us who have skin allergies to metals, as well as to those who have limited dexterity concerns. So with that, when you mention about using marketing agencies or editors, I am concerned about them not using the language that I would use to make the connection with my target audience. Because, like I said, it's maybe 20, as I researched, it's about 20% of Americans that actually have skin allergy issues and they've strayed away from jewelry, but I want to bring them back with my designs and then still connect to those who look to jury to add that exclamation point to their look for that day. So I literally have three target groups, but how do I find those marketing agencies that will actually make content in the language that allows me to still have that one-on-one connection with that target audience?
Absolutely. Great question, Jacqueline. And so, first things first, the amazing thing about having multiple target audiences is that there's nothing wrong with that. And I love to hear that your audiences are still interconnected. A lot of times when we think about target audience, especially as brand new business owners, it seems that everyone here has some good experience and like baseline for branding. But a lot of times what we hear is people say they want their target audience to be everyone. And that's the number one way to like to not succeed as a business owner. So I'm really, really glad to hear that you're very clear on who your target audience is, because that's going to help you when it comes to your content. My recommendation would be when you are searching for marketing and branding agencies to align with agencies that are specifically psychology based, because those are going to be the marketers that really understand that it's not just about the visuals. When you have a marketer that like has that underlying psychological element of it, they understand the importance of the messaging. Also, if you are very in tune with your target audience, which it sounds like you are, feel free to take that, like the information that you have, trust yourself as an entrepreneur, and write out what that looks like for you. So what type of words do you want to see in your content? What type of things do you feel like connects to your audience? Because as the service provider, you have had some experience with your target audience that marketer may not have. And so rely on your own expertise and have that. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier with why it's so important to have a brand identity. Create a messaging kit if you need to. There are templates for these things that you can utilize that will help you to pinpoint your keywords so that when you are passing it off to someone, you're not just leaving it up to their discretion, because ultimately you are the expert of your business. So write down that information, create a messaging kit if you need some templates, or I also have some great resources in my workbook as well that helps you to outline some keywords. Both of those will be great options so that you're not just starting fresh with any marketer. You're going in it with a kit, with information that they're pulling from, and they're tag teaming with you versus just taking on what you have and just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Thank
Great
you.
question and great answer. So Aaron's got a question that says, with branding and logo, would you recommend starting off with a simplistic and free design with plans to change or upgrade with future growth, or start off strong with premium branding service?
Great question, Aaron. My answer to this will be based off of how serious you're taking your business. If you are starting a lip gloss line for your young daughter and it's like for fun, you're learning, you're not 100% sold on it, absolutely start with a free logo. Now do know that there will be some limitations if you use certain platforms, as far as you might not be able to trademark that logo and you might not be able to use it if you scale a bit bigger. But if you're on the fence and you're not really sure, like if you want to dive fully into the company that you're starting, I would say it's totally okay to start off with a simplistic and free design. Now, if you are someone on the flip side where you are really investing into your business and you need a return on investment sooner than later, it's going to be in your best interest to start off with premium branding. Because a lot of times, this is one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite books. It's called Sell Like Crazy. It's an excellent marketing book for anybody that's interested. But in that, they talk about how, as a baker, you could be the best baker in the world. You're going to be a broke baker if you don't know how to sell bread, you know? So it's not about how good you are at what you do, it's how good you are at selling what you do. And if you have some sales experience already and you feel confident in that, then maybe you don't have to invest in your branding right off the bat if you don't have that expendable income. But if you are someone that's looking to scale your business and you are really trying to see that return on investment, it's going to be beneficial for you to start off with some premium branding.
Yeah. And Rachel Lugo says, I like the information you've provided about Lemonade. Do you have any other recommendations other than PayHip for digital products?
Um, so PayHip is my personal favorite just because it's free. So I love that. When you say for digital products, do you mean for creating digital products or for selling digital products? As far as selling, I use PayHip. Stand Store is also a great option from what I've heard. I haven't used it personally, but a lot of my creator friends use Stand Store. Etsy is amazing for digital products as well. Um, let's see, Beacons AI is a link in bio platform that you can use it to create that link page that I was talking about. You can also use it to sell your digital products. So those will be my recommendations.
And another question is, do you have study notes for today's class that we can keep for this session? So I'll let you answer that.
Well, I do have this presentation, so I'd be happy to share the link to the presentation with anybody who wants it. I also have the Content to Coins workbook, which is a variant of this presentation. And it goes a lot more in detail, and it has some exercises where you actually fill in the blank, answer questions, so you can get more detailed about your own personal brand. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna Nia, if I send you the link to the work, can you put it in the chat? Okay, so I'm gonna have Nia put the link to both the presentation and the Content to Coins workbook in the chat for you guys.
That's awesome and very generous of you, Jalen. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Okay. So yeah, let me just pull that up for you guys right quick. And while I'm pulling that up, if anybody else has any other questions or comments, it doesn't necessarily have to be a question. I would love to hear your feedback on how you guys felt about this session, or if there's things that you want to hear more of in the future sessions, since we do have more coming up. You on your phone? Can I text it to you? Okay.
Yeah, and I will be following up directly with everyone who registered, even if they weren't able to attend, with just some questions like that, Jalen, that I'll be happy to pass along to you. It'll be just a brief, very quick survey. So if you guys would just take a minute, and it'll help us and it'll help Jalen during the next workshop sessions.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so Nia is about to drop the link to the workbook, and then I'm sending her the link to the presentation now. Thank you so much for all of the love in the chat. I'm so glad that you guys got some great value from this.
And Jalen, if folks wanted to contact you directly,
Yes,
do
ma'am.
I know it's on the next page because I got
It
a chance to look at this juicy material ahead of time. So, yeah, and she put that up. Next class is posted on the, excuse me, on the SBSD event page. If you enjoyed this content and you want to join in on the next sessions, we do ask that you register for each session so that we can provide adequate follow-up and just stay in touch. So Jalen's got her little QR code there. And if you guys are looking on your phone, you might not be able to utilize the QR code. So Jalen, I think the next slide has another.
Mm-hmm. And if you are on your phone, you can screenshot the
Oh,
page, and then you'll be able to, from your photos, you'll be able to
that's
schedule.
right.
So this link right here, this is a link to schedule a one-on-one content call with me. So I do offer these in single sessions and sessions of 4. And this is basically where we would have a one-on-one session, talk through where you currently are in your marketing and content strategy. And I just give you some expert advice. This is for all of the DIYers out there. So if you just need a little bit more guidance one-on-one, but you feel confident in your abilities to do your own branding, then this would be perfect for you. And then also make sure you guys follow us. So make sure you follow Virginia SBSD. Thank you so much again. And then you can follow me at Just Jalen. I'm on every platform under the sun. So you can follow me, and I share more social media content as well. You can also visit my website, socialbutterflybranding.com, and I'll put that in the chat. And Nia has dropped both of the links to the workbook and for this current presentation in the chat. Thank you so much, Nia.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna share. Let's see. Give me one sec, you guys. So here is the contact information for business services managers, which I am one of for SBSD. I kind of serve the Southwest area. My counterparts, Angela Barber, Romain Gohar, Randy Brown, Chris Lay, they also service the areas. And when we get back with you via email, I'll make sure that you have this information, and obviously you'll have my information via that email. And whoops, I didn't know what you guys were seeing. Are you guys seeing the contact slide, or no? No. All right, so never mind.
Oh, I think it might be. on mine. Is it moving now?
Let's see.
Oh no, it just has little buttons at the. Okay, sorry, never mind. There we go.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Jalen, honestly, this was a very juicy workshop. I learned a ton. I'm not a huge user of social media, but gosh, am I excited for those of you who are on this call that are, or just wanted to know more about branding and keeping your, or either getting or keeping your name out in front of others. Again, if you're interested in joining in on the following workshops, please go to our event page on the SBSD website, get registered for those, and we can hardly wait to see you guys. And I know, Jalen, the upcoming workshops will be just as amazing as this one was.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jalen. So I guess we'll go ahead and conclude for today. And Jalen, if you'll just hang out for a couple of seconds. But thank you guys all for joining us. We appreciate you. Hope you learned a lot, and we'll look forward to you getting registered and joining us for the next sessions.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone.
Thank you.
Oop, I almost.
Yay.
Give me just a second.
Okay.
All right, girl. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Jalen, it was fantastic.
Thank you, Gabby.
Girl, that was so much value. I can't even stand it. And I knew that it would be because, I do follow you on social media. I'm like, oh, she's doing it. But honestly, that was more than I could have asked for. And I think more than folks who joined could have asked for. So I will follow up. We typically do just like a quick little survey. What are some questions that you would like for me to include in that
Um,
for
what
your benefit?
what is their biggest frustration with social media?
Yeah.
And then what's their goal? Like, why do they want to be on social media to start with?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like those two will be good. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I always get super nervous with stuff like this. I'm like, is this
Or
valuable?
you
Is it
couldn't
helpful?
tell you could not tell that you were nervous. It was fantastic.
Thank
You did
you.
a great job. Honestly, it was great.
I
I'm for,
appreciate you
oh, wait
so
a minute.
much.
What's your biggest frustration? And then what is what's your goal? What do
Hmm.
you want to accomplish by being,
Yeah, either one of those.
okay. What's your goal? All right, cool. I will add those two questions to our little general thing that we send out. So, would you like for me, I know the folks who were here, we had 60 people registered. Would you like for me to send? I don't want to send the link. They didn't show up. I don't want to send them any links. But when I send out an email it'll probably be tomorrow because I've got a meeting at 2 that'll last a little while. But would you like for me to include your contact information in that email? Because,
Yeah.
girl, listen, Susan's the real deal. I wanted to tell you this, and I'm going to make a direct um, introduction to you with her. So Susan has multi-million-dollar business.
Oh, okay, Susan.
Yep. In Rocky Mount. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to go and meet with her in person last Thursday, and I couldn't get my car out of my parking
Yeah.
lot.
Oh,
So, so anyway, I want to make sure because she asked you specifically about that. So I'm going to introduce the two of you. So she's
okay.
got your email and you guys can just carry it from there. But she's the real deal. She actually signed up. We do a scaling for growth program, and it's really for established businesses who are looking to take their business to the next level.
Yeah.
And she's one of the applicants who got accepted to the program. So she's serious about what she's doing.
Yay! That's
So
so
yay,
exciting.
these are juicy contacts, you know what I mean?
Yes. I'm so excited. I'm gonna well, do you want me to just text it to you? I'm gonna text you my professional email.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect. Yep.
okay. I'm gonna text it to you right now.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
cannot thank you enough, Kathy. This was amazing for
Listen,
me.
and I hadn't even, so I will. um Beginning the first of next month, I will actually be sending out, oh, I just hadn't had time to get myself together in this regard, but I'm going to do a little newsletter for Southwest Virginia. But so the fact that we're doing these next workshops will go to all the chambers of commerce, all of the SBDCs, all of the economic development folks that are, I'm working on building partnerships with. And so hopefully, they'll be willing to share with their group as well. So
Yes, this is amazing. I'm gonna get you that updated flyer too. I didn't realize till yesterday when I posted it. I was like, oh, I didn't get the one with all the dates on it.
it's
I got
okay. Yeah, don't
you.
worry. No worries about that. But thank you, Jalen. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Deep bows. I think you're doing amazing things. And
Thank you.
girl, you're gonna hit that million plus mark soon.
We
I
gonna speak
feel it.
it. We're speaking
Listen,
it.
I feel the same. Look, we've got to speak it, right?
Yeah.
Speak it and the universe responds somehow. I don't know how the
Yeah.
magic works, but it does.
That's not our business. That's not our
It's not
business. Not
our
really.
business. Exactly. So yeah, honestly, thank you because I know you're busy. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And if it's anything else that I can do for you, Kathy, you just let me know.
Girl, I will. I'm not afraid to ask. And as other things come up, that I'm like, oh, Jalen will be the right person. And as folks who have specific marketing questions come up, I'm gonna make contact
Thank you so
with you.
much.
All
Thank
right,
I hope you
girl.
enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, ma'am. Big
Okay, I'll talk to you
hugs.
soon.
All right,
Hug.
I know you're there with Nat, so kiss Nat and give her a hug from me.
I will. When she comes back downstairs, I got you.
Okay.
All
All right.
righty. Bye
Bye,
bye.
Jalen. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.